Can I sit here?
Yeah, you can just sit there.
Well, my name is Arthur Polonsky. This is Gabriel Polonsky. Gabriel Emmanuel Polonsky. I never had a middle name. My mother used to tell us, if you wanted not to forget your dreams when you awake, don't look out of the window, because that erases everything.
In the 20th century, Arthur Polonsky was one of the most important painters in Boston, period. He was immensely influential as an artist, as a teacher, for decades. He's interested in what you feel and what the images do to you on a purely emotional and spiritual level, a level that is beyond words.
He's someone who doesn't look at the world the way that it's supposed to be. He looks at things and tries to invent something new.
There's a marvel involved, that a certain shape and a certain color in relation to other colors will produce an illusion. That is, it begins to have a quiet life that seems to go beyond its ingredients.
Arthur's work invites the viewer to consider, what is this about?
It isn't so important to know what the purpose of art is. It's important to know that it has all sorts of purpose, that it means one thing to one person, and to the same person another thing at a different time.
Boston Expressionism was a real live art historical phenomenon. It was sort of the in-house style for the city.
If you go back to Jack Levine and Hyman Bloom in a way is the origin of Boston Expressionism, and then explored the younger generation, Arthur Polonsky's generation.
So many of my friends are called that now, living and dead. It's just not the way it happened. We didn't think in terms of whether we were realists. We were not abstract expressionists, but there was no campaign to be this or that.
They don't really look like anybody else who came before them, and they really set the tone of a lot of what was happening. They were far from German Expressionism.
We were really pioneering from the past.
All those artists, because of their training at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts, had a passion for drawing. And when they got to Paris, they all continued drawing. It was a habit, a compulsion, but they were drawing brilliantly.
Look at you, 23-year-old son of immigrant tailors. He is in Paris on a $3,000 scholarship, which he hopes to stretch over 2 years.
That was it, for 2 years.
Everybody was just coming out of the deadness of the war, and Picasso had a big exhibit, and artists were just all over the place. The place was bursting with creativity. He lived in this tiny room, and he did his work right there. When I came to visit, I got underneath all the blankets and had hot tea.
Picasso lived a few streets away, and of course on the Riviera here.
Careful.
He seems to me to have and always has seemed to me to have a way of capturing what he may have seen in a dream and putting it onto a canvas.
I really wanted the movie to be about his personality and his crazy house and his crazy household repairs. He didn't let me mow the lawn when I was growing up. He thought the 3-foot-tall weeds looked like a wheatgrass field in a Van Gogh painting.
Your family is unusual. Not only that the work itself was interesting, but it was an interesting family. So it was another story to tell.
And my father, just like with his students, was always very supportive of my work. He did that with all three of us, and I think that was a very positive thing that he did for us. I'm learning that it worked with his students, too.
It's lithographic ink, not usually used for drawings on anything but lithographic stones. But I've used it for many years on paper. These are meaningless lines I've just made for the purpose of demonstration. The universal question, what is it and what does it mean? Teaching, I used to say, just put an eye in it. They'll know it's a face. But not always.
It's not often that one gets to see the way in which an artist lives and works.
Arthur has made his mark, but it's going to turn out in years to come that it's a bigger, deeper mark than people understood.
The Museum of Fine Arts has done a spectacular job of documenting the history of art in Boston. But come the 1920s, it all sort of falls off the face of the earth. They have to start putting Hyman Bloom and David Aronson and Arthur Polonsky up on the wall.
When the final history of this movement is written, he will have one of the most important chapters in it.
Just all going to the general public.
I have to go, actually.
Oh, sure, I have to sleep sometime too.
Yeah.